This is the Tecware Purple Tactile Switches. This is another tactile switches from Tecware and is using wipe for the top housing and stems. So how do they sound and feel? Let's find out. What's going guys, Ox here and welcome back to my channel. We are back with yet another Tecware Switches, but this time let's all take a look and listen at the Purple Switches by Tecware. So as mentioned on the intro, this is another tactile switch and the materials that was used on the top housing and stem is the wipe, which I really think gives off that deep sounding profile to the switches. These are also decently weighted tactile like their Salmon switches, and I am very much excited for you guys to hear the sound test on these. By the way, the switches were sent for review, but I wasn't paid to make the video, so of course, I'll give you guys my unbiased and honest opinion on the switch. So in today's video, it's going to be the usual stock versus lube comparison, a sound test comparison with some other tactile switches, and of course, a material breakdown of the switch. And if you want to hear my own thoughts and opinion about the switch, please do stick around at the end of the sound test. And speaking of sound test, a quick disclaimer before we start. That the sound and experience may vary depending on your keyboard build, meaning to say we might have a different experience and different sound on the Tecware switches. The keyboard that we'll be using is of course the Vega 65 with a polycarbonate plate, a PCB to plate foam, and one case foam. The switches was lubed with a Tribosys 3203 and 105 grade 0 on the springs. The keycaps that was used was a GMK set. So with all of that out of the way, please do enjoy the sound test for the Tecware Purple Switches. So that was the sound test for the Tecware Purple Switches. Please let me know on the comment section down below on what you think about them. Share your own thoughts and opinion. And before we talk about my own thoughts and opinion on the switches, we already know what's next. Let's break down the materials that was used on the switch. As you can see, these are a 5-pin switch and is using an MX style housing. Now for the top housing, it's using the wipe. For the bottom housing, it is using nylon. And for the stems, it is also using the wipe material. Lastly, the springs, which is a 68 gram and also 50 gram for the bottom out force. So that was a material breakdown for the Tecware Purple Switches, and if you made it up to this point, I would like to say thank you for staying, and again, please do remember that the sound and experience may vary depending on your keyboard build, so we might have a different experience and sound on the switches. So finally, let's all talk about my thoughts on the feel. On stock, it's actually decently smoother than the Salmon tactile switches that I have. I didn't notice any scratchiness as well, but you can still feel that plastic feeling that I'm always talking about. So just like the other Tecware switches, I really recommend lubing them for a better typing feel. Once lubed, it felt so much better for me. And now for the tactility. The tactility on this are fairly light to medium, but really more on the lighter tactile bump. You can feel the bump a bit early, and it's more subtle than their Salmon tactile switches. I can say that they feel similar to the Akko Lavender Purples, but more solid in terms of the tactility feel. It's more on that rounded tactile bump, and I actually like how it feels. Plus, not to mention, it's also decently weighted with a 68 gram spring and a 50 gram bottom out force. At first, I wasn't really liking the tactility, but after using it for a week, I kinda got used to it and to the tactility, and I can honestly say that I can see myself using this on a daily basis. Now let's move on to my thoughts on the sound. On stock, it's a fairly decent sounding tactile, but it's just like a normal tactile to me, although I find the sound a bit mushy on stock, but once lubed, it sounded more subtle. It has a deeper tactile pitch than the more higher pitch like their Salmon tactile switch, and I can say that they sound really good once lubed, but it's really nothing special to note about. I know some of you guys want that deeper tactile sound, so if that's your preference, I do suggest getting these over the Salmon switches in terms of the sound profile. So overall, I'm really impressed on how these turned out, considering that this is Tecware's first release on switches. This is a decently weighted tactile with a decent tactility. It's not too sharp, it's not too light, but I think it could be better. I also want to note that I appreciate how they really researched and went away from the usual materials like the other manufacturer uses. I like their choice on the wipe stem. One thing that I can say is that it's really not on the budget side, but for what it offers, I think it's really worth trying it out. Again, you can just buy one pack of switches with the 35 pieces, or you can check out Zion Studios because I know they offer this in packs of 10. So yeah, that is it for the video, guys. I really hope you all like my review on the Tecware Purple Tactile and overall my review on all of their switches. If you do, please don't forget to hit the like button and let's try to hit the usual 50 likes for the video. Again, thank you so much Tecware for sending them over. All of their links would be on the description down below. So what's next? Well, I do have more KTT switches to try, and I'll be trying out some Kinetic Lab switches, so better watch out for that. So again, don't forget to hit the like button, share if you want, and of course, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys on the next sound test. Peace.